Donald Trump was also in the Keystone State. It was his first campaign trail appearance since the FBI searched his Mar-a-Lago home and recovered dozens of classified documents. And so what was meant to be a rally for a pair of struggling GOP candidates ended up being a megaphone for Trump's attacks on President Biden and the Justice Department. Take a listen.
He's an enemy of the state. You want to know the truth? The enemy of the state is him and the group that control him. The FBI and the Justice Department have become vicious monsters controlled by radical left scoundrels, lawyers, and the media who tell them what to do.
I'm joined now by Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren. She's on the Judiciary Committee and the January 6th Select Committee. Congresswoman, thanks so much for making time for us on a Labor Day weekend. You have the former president of the United States calling the current president of the United States an enemy of the state. Your response?
Well, it's bizarre, and the President Biden did caution Americans about extremism in his speech in Philadelphia, and the ex-president is proving his case to call out law enforcement as vicious enemies. I understand that he identified an FBI agent by name on his social media, probably exposing that law enforcement official to threats that we've seen. It's just weird, and that he makes everything about himself. The Republican voters I know here in my district, they didn't steal classified documents and put them in a little room off their pool. The ex-president did that. So it's a weird speech.
And he also referred to members of the FBI, Department of Justice, as vicious monsters, quote unquote, vicious monsters. You've looked at, along with the committee, Trump's rhetoric leading up to January 6th. Do you think that kind of rhetoric is more incitement, essentially?
Well, potentially, yes. In the lead up to January 6th, there was extravagant claims made meant to inflame public opinion, and that is what is happening here. Although I think it's meant to turn people against law enforcement officers. And we've seen that sometimes that rhetoric reaches people who are prepared to act on it. For example, the fellow who was killed when he tried to attack the FBI agents in Ohio. So this is not responsible, and the ex-president ought to stop it. But meanwhile, all of us, Democrats and Republicans in elected office, should call this out. This is not proper behavior.
And one of the rally speakers was somebody named Cynthia Hughes. She runs a group that raises money for January 6 defendants. And our Marshall Cohen over here at CNN points out that last night she told a story to gin up sympathy for her nephew, who is a convicted Capitol insurrectionist. And this is her nephew right here posing as Adolf Hitler. His former colleagues testified that he said, quote, Hitler should have finished the job. He was convicted on all 5 January 6 charges that he faced. Why do you think, do you think this belongs at any kind of a political rally, this kind of speaker being given this sort of platform?
Well, when President Biden warned that there are some elements in this extreme group that are really semi-fascist, maybe he didn't need to use semi. Being a supporter of Adolf Hitler does put you in the fascist category. There's no semi about it. So I do think this is troubling, and responsible Americans, we can disagree on issues right to left, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't stand up for peaceful communities to push back against the chaos that the ex-president is trying to create. We ought to be thankful to our law enforcement community that does their best to keep us safe instead of attacking them.
And we're still learning about the scale of the sensitive documents that were discovered at Mar-a-Lago. One of the questions that I had is, and perhaps you can answer it, is it possible that any of these documents were in any way connected to the January 6th investigation? Might they be of some interest to the January 6th investigation?
Well, we don't know yet. Here's what we are doing. We asked the archives for a whole set of material, and they sent us what they had. And the question we have is some of what's been returned to them on the list of what we asked for? We don't know the answer to that question yet, but we expect to get the answer.
And how soon do you expect that answer?
Well, they're working hard. As a matter of fact, members of the January 6th committee are working over this weekend along with our staff. We've got so much to do and, limited time to do it. So we are pressing everyone to make this a high priority to get answers. And at this point, we just don't know the answer to your question.
And you said the January 6th committee plans at least one hearing this month. Any update on when that could be, what it would cover, and when do you think we will see that full report? Will we see it by the end of the year?
Well, let me say, I always leave the announcements up to the chair and vice chair, so I'm not able to answer that question. But surely we will have our complete report done by the end of this year. We've always planned on that. And as you know, all congressional select committees are established for the life of the Congress. And so that has always been our intention and remains so.
And we're heading into a big midterm political cycle. A lot of your colleagues will be busy campaigning, running for re-election and so on. Will that get in the way of getting finished on time?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's just such a large volume of material. We're not going to have it done like in 2 weeks, but we are busy working on it. And not only that, the charge of the committee was not just to find the facts and lay them out, but also come up with recommendations for possible legislative changes or administrative procedures. We're also working on that. That's probably not going to be done in the next month either, but we will have all of it done by the end of the year.
All right, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this
You
morning.
bet.
Thanks.
Have a good
Coming up,
Labor Day.
and you as well, and everybody else, we appreciate it.